So this is going to be a real challenge for folks that have wind versus flood issues. And so you've got wind and flood damage on the same property, and that's the common challenge. It can actually be others, but the 50% rule is a FEMA rule. It's a floodplain management rule that over the last 3 years has actually now been adopted and is a part of the International Building Code or the International Residential Code. Mm-hmm. It used to be not as carefully enforced because it was enforced by the floodplain manager in a building code official's office. I'm a floodplain manager. It's a designation that you achieve from being trained by FEMA. It takes about a week, and all of my brains. I don't know how I passed it, but I'm glad that I did. I don't know if I could do it again. But nonetheless, so the 50% rule is a rule that has now got teeth. It is going to be enforced by the building code official.
Sure.
And in every community that is badly damaged, Mexico Beach, St. Joe, any of those, you are going to be looking at those maps, right? In Mexico Beach, it's a 2009 map with a 2016 map waiting to be adopted. Nonetheless, we're going to be looking at that flood map, and you're going to be looking to see whether or not you're in a special flood hazard area, an A or a V zone, or are you in an X zone? Mm-hmm. So everybody's in a flood zone. Are you in an X zone, a 500-year flood, which is a bad term for the word because they happen a lot more than every 500 years, but let's just call it a 500-year flood in an X zone. You're unlikely to flood, right? You can purchase flood insurance in there, and hopefully you will. 25% of the floods across the country every year are in X zones, so they do flood. Or you can be in a special flood hazard area, an A or a V zone. In an A or V zone, if you flood, the 50% rule applies to you. If you're in an X zone, the 50% rule does not apply to you, so you don't have to think about it. Now, the A or V flood zones are going to require that if your property is damaged more than 50% of the appraised value, the tax appraised value, minus the land, plus 20%, then you are going to, if you exceed 50% of that basis, you're going to need to bring that property up to code. And if that means elevating it on pilings, $50,000 worth of pilings, sure. Frankly, in many occasions, that means the building's a total loss. Mm-hmm. And you've got a whole nother set of challenges. You've got a substantial damage letter that's going to come from the county. You've got a requirement to elevate or bring it up to code. And then, frankly, in many occasions, it's going to be a building that's going to be raised.